Right, so this evening we are going to be talking about VO2 max, what it is, why it matters for our health and everyday energy, and how to measure and improve yours or ours. So, obviously, we spend most of our time talking about strength and calories and macros, but VO2 max is actually really important for our heart and lungs, and that's why I wanted to bring it to our attention, and hence why we're running this optional August challenge. However, as always, I'm recording this call. So, for anybody that does watch it back at any point in the future, this will be a really good introduction to what it is, and why it forms part of the health picture, and also it will have all the information for anybody to be able to go away and do their own testing. So, what is it? So, VO2 max is essentially the maximum amount of oxygen that your body can take in and actually use for exercise. What that means in simple terms is it's how well your heart, lungs, and muscles work together to power you, and it is the single best measure that we have for cardiovascular fitness. Why that matters is that basically, if you can have a better VO2 max, it just makes everyday life that bit easier. So, all the sort of things that we all do all the time, going up and down the stairs, walking up hills, carrying the shopping, going on long walks, all of it should mean that if we can improve our VO2 max, it should mean that we do less huffing and puffing, essentially. So more stamina also means more energy left for the rest of your day, and it is something that you can actually feel. When you improve it, you should be able to feel it, and it isn't just a number. So a little like muscle, VO2 max does decline with age. So you can see here, and it's measured in, I mean, we don't need to worry too much about it, but measured in mil per kilo per minute. And you can see that over time, as we get older, we do have a typical decline, but the great news is that we can actually train for it. So, in terms of where it fits with what we do, we obviously focus on strength for our muscles and bones and protein and calories for body composition. But VO2 max is so important for the health of our heart and lungs. And obviously, we generally talk about cardio fitness. So it doesn't replace anything we do, but with sleep, it does actually sort of complete the whole picture in terms of longer term aging. And the challenge that we're going to be participating in, so me included, essentially, and I'm going to run through this step by step. So we're all going to do something called the Rockport walk test to find out what our current VO2 max is. Then throughout August, we're going to use our usual walking, but with a bit more intention to try and improve that. And then at the end of the month, we'll retest and we can obviously then see what changes have happened. So very simple, all walking based and completely doable alongside everything we normally do. So the Rockport walk test is a really well established way to estimate VO2 max, and you don't need any equipment for it. And I have put a Google Doc together that I can share afterwards that will have all of the step-by-step instructions. But because it's a walk and not a run, it does suit every fitness level in the community. So you'll basically do the test, send me the numbers, and then I'll do the maths and work out your VO2 max for you and send it back. So there are three ways that you can do it. The easiest way is always going to be to use a treadmill, but you don't have to use a treadmill. Obviously, if you've got a fitness tracker as well, which I know most people do, that will help just make the test easier, but you don't actually need either because you can just do it simply using a flat 1 mile route, a phone as a timer, and then taking your pulse at the end. So we'll walk through this step by step. In order to do that first test, you would always warm up with a few minutes of just easy, gentle walking. Then you're going to do a mile, which is 1.6 kilometers if you're on a treadmill, as fast as you comfortably can at a steady pace, but a strong pace. And you would note then at the end how long it takes in minutes and seconds, and then take your heart rate immediately because your heart rate will drop quite quickly. If you don't have a watch or a ring, or you're not on a treadmill that can take your pulse easily, you can simply do it by finding your thumb, and you'll obviously be able to have a practice of this, not finding your thumb, finding your pulse on your wrist on the thumb side of your hand, and you can practice doing that beforehand. All you would do probably be easier to have somebody ready to help you do that. Get somebody to time 15 seconds, you count your pulse, multiply it by 4, and that's going to give you your beats per minute when you finish the test. As I said, do it immediately as soon as you finish, and make sure that you've practiced so it's quick and easy when you do it. All this will be in the Google Doc. Once you've done once you've done the test, basically you will then send me these 3 things. So how long it took you in minutes and seconds, what your beats per minute was at the end of the test, and how much you currently weigh, which, to be fair, I can get that out of the data that we have in the app anyway. Either pop it into our VO2 Max group or just send it me directly and I can send you back what your starting number is. I'm sure you'll then want to know once you've got your number, is it good? Like, what does that look like? How does that compare? So this is the table of like normative data for women at various age categories. So you're obviously going to fall in one of these categories, which I think is a great sort of starting point wherever you land, because at least it gives you something that you can aim for in terms of improvement. And obviously I can share that table again once we've all done the test. So in terms of improving our VO2 max, like, to be clear, you're not going to see a massive improvement over 4 weeks. It is something that's going to take time, but obviously it's just a good learning point for us. But essentially the way to improve it is going to be to make sure that we've got some intentional walking. So add hills if you're out and about walking, or an incline on the treadmill. That's where the magic happens. You could add intervals, so it doesn't necessarily have to be about going all out when you're out walking, but you might do some shorter bursts of walking, say a minute really quick and then a couple of minutes slower. We must not run though. Well, specifically for the Rockport walk test, there must not be any running. And completely optional, but other ways, just this is more about knowledge for the future. Things like cycling and swimming will all be good ways to increase your VO2 max too. So very simply, the only thing that you need to do this week, ideally, so that we've then got obviously some time afterwards to work on our VO2 max, is to complete the Rockport walk test and send me your 3 numbers. Then throughout August, we're just going to try and bring a bit more intention to our walks with pace and incline, and then retest at the end of the month. As I said, don't expect a huge jump in 4 weeks. The real win here is just understanding what VO2 max is, why it's important, and making sure that we are including some intentional walking in amongst our steps. Do you have any questions?
No.
Straightforward, very short and sweet. But yes, as I say, it's all completely laid out in the Google Doc in terms of what you need to do, how to do the test, and what to send me. So that should be straightforward. And yeah, I'll pop that into the group as soon as we finish this call.